Came off at work today. All right, 111. Give me a SHALAM to Zalman. Give me a 1 online if you can hear us clearly. That don't sound like good to me. Hold on, what's the All right, Adolphus, can you hear us clearly, or does it sound a bit distorted? I'm gonna have to run that microwave. 111. All right, that looks all right. Can you hear us clearly, or is it sounding a little distorted, or is it too loud? Give us a 1 if it's too loud, a 3 if it's sounding a little distorted. Just let us know, right? And then we'll go from there. We'll see if we need to fix the sound or if it's too loud. Yeah, someone said 3, that means it's a little distorted. All right, give me 1 second. One. Does that sound better? Let me know if this one sounds better. Does this one sound better, or was the previous one better? Let me know if this one sounds better. Yeah. Does this one sound better, or was the previous one better? Yeah, that one sounds better. Let me know if this one sounds better. All right, then we'll go with that one. But this one. All right, then, most time, Christ. Any questions, just type them in and we'll get to them. So also remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, which is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. There's also one Saturday, 2 a.m. UK time. And we have classes here in Birmingham live, Monday, 7 p.m. till 9, Wednesday, 7 p.m. till 9, Thursday, 7 p.m. till 9. We have a Tuesday online class, Brotherhood class. We have a Friday class also. And we have the radio show, which is 9 p.m. on Friday. So remember to check out all those. We also have the Sabbath service on Saturday. Then we have camp. We alternate camp between Brixton High Street and the Birmingham High Street. So you'll catch us out in Birmingham, outside Primark. You'll catch us on Brixton High Street, right by the KFC. So that's where you'll catch us. So you'll see us those places. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me see if we... Hold on 1 second. Let me see if we're up on the Facebook. Where's it dropped? Give me 1 second. I'm not seeing any people from... Yeah, it's working. All right, then also. Yeah, that's 12. Is it sounding distorted? Sorry, say that again. I can hear it. All right, then. So we're going to start off in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. So now, these is the blessings and the curses. So what you're going to find out is when you do right by God, you receive blessings. When you do wrong by God, you receive curses. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, with some other precepts in there. So we're going to start at Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1.
So if anything, if we get the time, I didn't get to bring the books with me because obviously I didn't. This ain't the topic I had planned, but obviously going to go over it, and then eventually we'll go over it again with all the books, the history books, and all of those things, so you can see without a shadow of a doubt that obviously this whole chapter is on about us. But go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day.
Hold on one sec. Let me just keep reading. I'm just going to go online and see if we can hear the reader. Go ahead.
That the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Keep reading. I'm just going to go online and see if we can hear the reader. Go ahead.
That the Lord thy God.
Yeah, that's 12. All right, yeah, that's 12. Yeah, go ahead. So yeah, the Lord said if we hearken to all his commandments, he would set us on high. Meaning what? We would be running the earth. You would be in a position of authority. These other nations wouldn't be ruling over you. You would sit at the top alone. No one would sit at the top beside you. It would just be you and our nation. That's what would happen. The Lord would set us on high. But what did we want to do instead? We wanted to be high.
Right.
Like instead of the Lord setting us on high, meaning at the top, we wanted to be high out of our mind of cannabis, of weed, of mollies, crushing this plant and growing this plant and mixing them together and smoking them and making all these potions that make you high. That's what we wanted to do. So as long as we live in like that, the Lord can't set us on high. Why? Because if we rule the earth and we're unrighteous, guess what's going to happen? The rest of the earth is going to be unrighteous, man. If the Lord sets us on high and we getting high, guess what? The whole earth's going to be getting high, man.
Right.
So we have to be at the bottom so we can see, okay, then being at the bottom is a horrible place. Being at the bottom is where nobody wants to be. And that's where we are right now, man.
Right.
At the bottom where nobody wants to be. Read on. Also, any questions, just type them in and we'll get to them.
Verse 2. And all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
All these, meaning what? All you would have is blessings, man.
Right.
We wouldn't have death and destruction and this horrible life that we live in. We wouldn't have that, man. We would have blessings on top of blessings on top of blessings.
Right.
But obviously we don't get them things. Why? Because we disobey the Lord. So by us disobeying the Lord, what does it get us? Curses, man. And what you'll realize is a curse is the opposite to a blessing. So look at our life. The lifestyle that we live in is a curse. Your children dying before you, man, is a curse. Us being in jail is a curse. So what would a blessing be? A blessing would be us not in jail, man.
That's right.
Our children not dying, us not being on drugs, us not being oppressed, us not being dealing with systematic racism. Because the thing is this, these nations have always wanted to enslave you.
Right.
But the reason why they couldn't do it is because the Lord was with you, man.
Right.
And the Lord was protecting you, so they couldn't enslave you. But once you disobeyed the Lord and the Lord said, you know what? I'm going to walk contrary to them and I'm not going to protect them. The nations did what? Use that to take you down, man.
That's right.
They get you to sin because they know the Lord won't be with you. And then when the Lord ain't with you, they can have their wicked way, man.
Right.
They can do what? Put you in council estates, put you in jail, throw you in prison, kill your children, shoot you dead in the streets. They can do those things when the Lord ain't with you. Because why? If the Lord was with you, he would fight for you and they couldn't get close. So of course they're going to want to keep you smoking weed. Of course, Boris Johnson and them is going to be telling you you're allowed to get a high, you're allowed to do this, you're allowed to be a child molester, a rapist, everything wrong. Of course they're going to tell you that, man. You know why they're going to tell you that? Because they know that keeps you sinning, man.
Right.
They're going to keep showing you this glamorous lifestyle. They're going to keep showing you this rapper lifestyle and make you want it. Because they know in order to get it, you have to do what? Break God's laws. They know in order to get it, you have to be a sinner in order to get that lifestyle that you see on TV. They're keeping you at the bottom. So they will give you that lifestyle, man. They'll say, yo, sell drugs and you can have the Mercedes, knowing that the Lord is going to destroy you for selling them drugs.
Right.
It tells you that this man was more subtle than any beast of the field. Like, this man knows what he's doing, man. You're thinking he's got your best interest at heart. Nah, man. Far from. He wants you to be a sinner, and they want us to be a nation of sinners. So this is why they do what? Call us in the I.S.U.P.K rebels, whereas a rebel is someone that what goes against what the government wants. And the government wants you to be on drugs, wants you to be on crack. Listen, understand this. They called black men rebels who didn't want to be slaves, man. You see the Maroons, they called the Maroons rebels. Why? Because they chose to flee to the mountains and didn't want to be slaves.
Right.
So they demonized the Maroons, said the rebels, shoot them, kill them on sight. And then that's what people wanted to do, man. That's what people wanted to do. Why? Because once the government puts out a message, people look at the government like they're innocent. What they say is right. So they will say all things about us in the I.S.U.P.K, man. They'll say we're rebels. They'll say we're evil. They will say we're all these things. These times, we none of the above, man. They say we're criminals. We none of the above. But when the government and the media say, people then believe it. Why? Because we go against what they tell us to be. The thing is this, we tell black men to love one another, man. How does that make us a rebel? Why? Because they would rather black men kill each other. They would rather you wipe each other out. But read on.
If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, blessed shall thou be in the city, and blessed shall thou be in the field.
And you'll be blessed in the city and blessed in the field. Meaning you'll be blessed everywhere, man. You'll be blessed in them ghettos, man. You'll be able to walk through Handsworth, man. Imagine that. If we serve the Lord, we'll be able to walk through Handsworth, man. We'll be able to walk through Newtown. Be able to walk through Mitchells. We'll be blessed in the city and blessed in the field. No matter where you are, you would be blessed, man. Whether you're living in a big city, in the suburbs somewhere, whether you're living in the fields, man, a shanty town, a shanty settlement somewhere, we would be blessed. We would have no black on black crime. Why? Because we would be keeping the commandments, and the commandments teaches that we shouldn't do black on black crime. The commandments teaches what? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Now, if we went by that scripture, gang wars would end. You know why? Because gang wars is from old things that happened in the past, and now it's people trying to even the score. And people trying to even the score, what would you call that? That is called vengeance. They're trying to get revenge, and the Lord said, vengeance is mine. So if we decided, okay then, I've read this, it says vengeance is the Lord. I can't go do a drive-by shooting in Handsworth tonight then. Why? Because vengeance ain't mine to take.
Right.
People from Newtown be like, I can't go shoot up Handsworth tonight. You know why? Because vengeance ain't mine to take. That would stop black on black crime, man. Right. And we would leave it to the Lord. So we would be blessed in the city and in the field. We wouldn't have to worry about being shut down in the streets. We We wouldn't have to worry about being caught up in the wrong neighborhood. We wouldn't have to worry about being a place where it goes against the postcode where I live. We wouldn't have none of those things, man. But those things comes from curses, and curses comes from what? Not keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments. So when you don't keep God's commandments, what will you do? Drive around with machine guns looking for vengeance. You kill someone from that side who ain't keeping God's laws, what would they do? Drive to your postcode looking for vengeance. So there's no winners, man. With the gang war, there's no winners.
Right.
Like when you're young, you think, yeah, this is a game, but it's not. Because people lose their life and don't come back, man. You're losing your loved ones over what? A postcode. Whereas we ended up here and they didn't even want us here, man. They hated the fact that we're here. Read on.
Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body.
And the fruit of thy body is what? Your children, man. Blessed shall be your children which come from you. Meaning what, man? We'd have long life. We'd be healthy. Our children would be raised right. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, man.
Right.
And because we're going through these cases, the fruit of our body isn't blessed, man.
That's right.
Because they're growing up in the ghetto. They're growing up with trauma passed on from us. We growing up with trauma passed on from our parents. Our whole life here is full of trauma, man.
That's right.
And this is why we behave the way we behave. Why? Because we've got trauma and we just think this is normal. While it is, when everyone's got trauma, it just seems like it's normal. But the way black people live ain't normal, man.
Right.
We've all got trauma and we don't know it because why? We've just all been living it. We've all just been living in this ghetto with this trauma, thinking, oh, this is normal for black people to behave this way. But if we kept God's laws, we wouldn't have this trauma, man.
Right.
We wouldn't have this problem. Our children would be blessed. Read on.
And the fruit of thy ground.
And the fruit of thy ground, meaning what? The food that you plant, man. It would grow. We wouldn't have no food shortages or nothing. We wouldn't have to be eating GMO food every other day, man. We wouldn't have to be eating KFC chicken where they inject it and all this nonsense.
That's right.
We wouldn't have to be eating McDonald's cows where they inject it up with all kinds of steroids and everything. The fruit of our ground would produce things, man. We would know where our meat's coming from. We would know where our fruits is coming from.
Right.
Like now they make what? Seedless apples and seedless grapes. Listen, man. We would plant our own stuff and we would know where it's coming from, man. How it's been grown, how it's been raised. You know why? Because it would be black. The farmers would be black. The people tilling the ground would be black.
Right.
Would be our own people. We could go to them. Listen, man, I don't know if you've ever tasted fresh meat, man. Go to the Caribbean or somewhere where you catch the chicken yourself, where you're chasing this chicken around the field, man. The chicken's clucking. The chicken's clucking and you're chasing it, man. Because it's time for you to cut that chicken up, man. Listen, man, that chicken tastes way different to the one you buy in Tesco. That rubbery one you buy in Tesco, man.
That's right.
Listen, we only know about that rubbery chicken in Tesco. You know why? Because obviously we ain't got no ground to even plant anything no more.
Right.
We living under a man where you can only plant certain amount of things in your garden. You can't plant freely. Why? Because this man knows, okay, if you can plant your own bananas, it takes money out of his pocket.
That's right.
And he can't have that, man. His pocket has to stay fat.
Right.
Whereas if we serve the Lord, we could say to him, yo, you can't plant bananas. You have to buy them from us. So by us disobeying God, they now have the upper hand. While we at the bottom, man. While we at the bottom of the barrel, man.
Right.
That's how low we've become. We the bottom of the barrel now. Read on.
Blessed. And the fruit of thy cattle.
And the fruit of thy cattle, man. Meaning our cattle would produce an alarming rate, man. You read the story of Jacob and Laban, when Laban tried to skank Jacob with the I believe it was the sheep. When Laban tried to skank Jacob with the sheep.
Right.
And what happened? He gave Jacob all the speckled ones, because the speckled ones was meant to be more rare. So what happened? The Lord blessed Jacob's cattle, and the speckled ones started producing like crazy, man.
Right.
And Jacob ended up with tons of cattle. That would be us. We would have tons of cows, sheep, goat. We would have all of those things, man. We wouldn't have to be chipping in to buy mutton from the chacha man. We chipping in to buy mutton from the chacha man. And how much is mutton? Like £20 for a little bit, man. Now we chipping in for all of that. Whereas what? We would have sheep, man.
Right.
We would have goat. We wouldn't have to beg the chacha man, yo, let me off this much.
Right.
I got a family coming around and need some mutton. We would have our own mutton, man.
Right.
But because we disobey God, now we have to buy our mutton from the church, man. These times the scale's not even accurate, man.
Right.
When he puts the mutton on the scale and you put the mutton on your scale at home, he's saying two different things, man.
That's right.
And he's trying to charge you full whack. That's what happens when you don't serve the Lord, man. These
That's
nations can take advantage of you.
Right.
Go ahead. But if we did serve the Lord, we would have all these things in abundance.
And the flocks of thy sheep, blessed shall be thy basket and thy store.
Blessed shall be what?
Thy basket and thy store.
And what's a basket? Something you put things in, man. Listen, man. Our basket would be blessed, meaning we would have money, man.
Right.
We would have money, but we don't have money, man. We have holes in our pocket. Whereas with us as black people, you work 3 jobs. You work 3 jobs. And what happens? By payday, all your money is gone, man. Your basket's empty. There's a hole in your basket now. Once you pay your rent, you see that hole in your basket? That money goes to the rent, the electric, the food. Guess what? If we were serving the Lord, you don't have to buy food from these nations, man.
That's right.
That would mean more money would be in your basket. Because you wouldn't have to give what's in your basket to no other nation. What's in your basket would stay in your basket. But because we disobey the Lord, our basket is cursed, man. There's a hole in our basket. Meaning your basket's never going to get full. Meaning you can do all the overtime in the world. You're never going to get rich, man.
Right.
You're never ever going to get rich. You can do overtime till Christ comes. You ain't never going to get rich. Why? Because we didn't serve the Lord, so our basket ain't blessed. Whereas our basket would be blessed, man.
Right.
Our basket would be overflowing. But because we don't serve the Lord, we don't get them privileges in life, man. That's what comes from not serving the Lord. Not serving the Lord means you don't get them privileges. Read on.
Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
So it's blessed shall thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. You know, listen, man. Once you come into the earth, you'll be blessed, man. When you die, you'll be blessed, man.
Right.
Why? Because your children will be raised right. Your whole life will be a good one. You'll come into the earth in a loving family. You'll come into the earth, mother and father still together, man. You'll come into the earth being a child that's actually wanted, man. Not some child that nobody wants.
Right.
A child that's just here and ends up in care, and ends up being adopted by strangers. You would come into life blessed and you'd go out blessed. Meaning, before you die, you would know everything's taken care of, man, because your children's raised the right way. They're going to make the right decisions. Nowadays, when you're old and you're ready to die, you don't want to die. You're hanging on for life. Why? Because you know that your son's a drug addict, man. You know that your son's going to take the inheritance and spend it on a horse. He's going to go buy escorts. You can't even die in peace, man. And then you don't want to die. Why? Because you ain't even got money for your funeral. So much that now we have to beg the government, can you give us money towards the funeral, or set up a payment plan for the funeral. Most black people's funerals is paid for with a payment plan, man, because we can't afford it. So then your children end up paying down a payment plan. So they do the big funeral and then they're paying it off, which further leaves them in debt. Why? Because we cursed when we come into life and cursed when we go out, man.
That's right.
Like we come into this earth, parents can barely survive, can barely afford anything. And then the whole world makes that like we are a burden and we shouldn't be here. And then right before you die, you're another burden. Because why people saying, oh, they died and didn't even pay for their own funeral. Listen, man, our life in this place is rough. And we live like this. Why? Because we don't keep the laws of the Lord. Whereas what we're reading right now, these is the blessings of the Lord, man.
Right.
If we did these things, we would be blessed. But because we don't do these things, this is why we curse when we come in and curse when we go out.
Right.
Go ahead.
The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy
And listen,
face.
if we serve the Lord, our enemies would be smitten before our face.
That's
These people that came to take us on slave ships, they would end up being taken on slave ships, man. We would end up enslaving them. These people that shoot us dead in the streets, they wouldn't be able to. Why? Because the Lord would rise up and smite our enemies.
right.
But guess what? We ain't rolling with the Lord. So why? These enemies is able to rise up and overtake us.
That's right.
They're able to rise up and kill us, man. And that's why it happens. We ain't serving the Lord. Whereas we should be serving the Lord, man.
Right.
Like we've seen how our life is. Our life ain't good in this place. Outside of these doors is just death and destruction. And you've seen it, man. We've all got family members who are alcoholics, man.
Right.
We've all got uncles who are in and out of jail, and their life is amounting to nothing, man.
That's right.
Their life is amounting to their life is nothing, man. So why don't we be in here and change our lives so we can experience the blessings? The thing is this: most people steal. Why? Because they want to get rich. How about we serve the Lord, man? And in that way, the Lord will give us a basket full of what we need, man.
Right.
You don't need to rob it. The reason we're robbing is because we're poor and we're hungry and we're trying to survive. And then what do? We rob each other. Like, for instance, the white man runs the whole earth, as rich as could be. But who do we rob? The poor black man with a gold chain.
Right.
Like, it makes no sense. That man ain't even rich. Like, when one man gets up, we pull him down as to say, nah, you ain't leaving us, nigga, and pull him back down, man. We say, you know what, you ain't leaving the ghetto without us. And this is why we pull each other down, man. Like, our whole life, we've been taught to pull each other down. Like, we ain't been taught to, all right, then, that brother's making his money. Let's leave him to it.
Right.
We taught to destroy each other, rob one another, not let each other grow. We taught, no way can he make it to the top and I'm staying down here. Like, we don't support each other. That all comes from these curses that we under. That all comes from us disobeying the Lord.
Right.
That all comes from us hating our brothers. Because if we loved our brothers, we would want to see them rise and do good. But imagine we hate on our brothers for no reason. Imagine our brothers is making some money. We hate on them for no reason. I'm going to rob him. I'm going to do this to him. Meanwhile, I ain't never heard a nigga say he's going to rob Jeff Bezos. I ain't heard no one say that yet. I ain't heard no one say they're going to rob Mark Zuckerberg, man. I ain't heard no nigga say that yet. But what they do say is they're going to rob a black man who's barely got money. It makes sense, man. You know, it don't make sense. So, okay. It makes no sense how we treat one another. But read on.
They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways.
So if we were serving the Lord, the Hamites would have come to round us up and they would have fled 7 ways, man. They would have came out one way to try and take us, and because the power of the Lord and the Lord would have been with us, they would have had to flee. It would have been like Samson. You see, like how they couldn't bind Samson because the Lord was with him. They wouldn't be able to bind us, man, because the Lord would have been with us. They would have tried to put chains on us, would have broke them like what chains?
Right.
Would have broke them like what chains, man? Would have tried to put us on slave ships, would have been like what ship? Would have sunk that ship.
That's right.
But because the Lord ain't with us, what happens? They can overtake us. Same thing with Samson, man. Once the Lord left him, they was able to overtake him, man.
Right.
And he died, man. Lost his life. Why? Because he broke the vow that he made to the Lord that no razor will ever touch his head. Now, the power wasn't in his head. The power came from the Lord. Because some people think, oh, Rastafarians think the power's in their hair. If that was the case, man, if the power was in their hair, they would have been freed from slavery a long time ago, man.
That's right.
The power comes from the Lord, man. It's not, the power wasn't in Samson's hair, but read on.
The Lord shall command thee blessing upon the earth. Salakia, the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses.
Now listen, man, your storehouses is where you bring your goods, man. It's where you store things. Our storehouses would be blessed. And guess what? Nobody would rob your storehouse. You know why? Because we would all be living good. We all would have our own storehouses and we all would be keeping the laws of God. Now, you can't even have a storehouse. Why? Because someone will steal it. Someone will rob it, man.
Right.
If you tell a nigga now, yo, you know, keep some money in that storehouse there. That same night, he's coming to tie up you and your wife and rob that storehouse, man.
Right.
That's what he's going to do. Read on.
And in all that thou settest thine hand unto.
And in what?
All that thou settest thine hand unto.
And everything that we would set our hand to do, it would work. Everything you would put your hand to, it would work, man. It would happen. It would come to pass. That's what would happen if we serve the Lord. Everything that you dreamed of doing, it would be successful. Why? Because the Lord's with you.
Right.
Go ahead.
And he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
And we would have been where? In our own land. We're supposed to be in our own land. But what? Now there's Arabs in our land. The Saudi Arabians in our land. Now they're in our land. Now the Jewish man is in our land.
Right.
Why? Because we disobeyed the Lord. We're supposed to be set in our own land. But now we're not in our land. You know why? Because everybody's captives, man.
That's right.
So now we in all the white man's colonies. Everywhere where he's colonized, he's dumped us. And that's where we are residing this day in all of his colonies, because we disobeyed the Lord. If we served the Lord, we would be in our own land and we wouldn't know about these countries. We wouldn't know about this language that we're speaking, man. We wouldn't know about this language that we're talking. We would be speaking Hebrew, man. Right. We would be fluent in Hebrew because that would be our first language. Whereas now we're getting our language back piece by piece, man. Right. We're reading it, and obviously we're not fluent in it. You know why? Because we lost our tongue, man. We lost our language. We lost our culture. So now we're getting those things back. Whereas Hebrew would be our first language. You see how you understand every word I'm saying to you? You don't understand every single word in Hebrew. Right. Because we lost our culture and our nationality and our heritage and everything, our land. Now we're in another man's land, speaking another man's tongue, dressing in another man's clothes, behaving how another man's supposed to behave. Why? Because we have nothing of our own no more. Right. Everything that we have, nothing belongs to us, man. Only thing that belongs to us is this Bible, and we don't want it. The things that do belong to us, we don't want it, man. Right. So much now that we hate the clothes of our culture, man. We hate, like, people laugh at our garments. You look like Power Rangers, you look like Ninja Turtles. They've become that westernized that they're laughing at how royalty used to dress, man. Like, how we dress is how royalty used to dress. How King Solomon and Christ and them all dress, man. That's how we dressing out here. But people laugh at old Power Rangers. Now we've gone from dressing like royalty to now people just think, yeah, you like dress like Ninja Turtles. That's what they say. They call us Ninja Turtles. You see how the Ninja Turtles have the headpiece around their eyes, their head. So now they say we just. So now they say all these things about us with Ninja Turtles, with Power Rangers, with this, with that. Read on.
The Lord shall not fear, and he shall bless the not fear. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself.
And we was meant to be a separate people, meaning what everybody else is doing, we wasn't supposed to do. Like, everybody was supposed to look at us and see, wow, these people is different. Everyone else is smoking weed, and these people stay clear from it. Everybody else is lining up for these holes in the red light district, and these men stay clear from it. Right. That was meant to see a distinction, like, yo, like, they was meant to go to the red light district and get AIDS and see us how we don't have AIDS, man. That's right. They was meant to eat bats and see us how we don't eat bats. Right. I'm like, yo, if we follow those people, we wouldn't have COVID-19. If we follow those people, we wouldn't have all these STDs. That's how they're supposed to see us. They're supposed to see us like that. But obviously, what do? The same things that they do. Right. So so right now, we don't stand out as a holy people, which means separate. Right about now, we ain't doing nothing separate to what these other nations is doing. Whereas the Lord called us to be separate because he didn't want us to be like them. He wanted us to be nothing like them. Read on.
As he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways, and all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee, and the Lord shall make thee plenteous in good, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle.
Go ahead.
And in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Lord sware unto the fathers to give thee. The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto the land.
And listen, man, the Lord said, if we was to obey him, he would open up his good treasure to give rain unto the land. Meaning the Lord would give us blessings and give us rain. Meaning what? How do crops grow? Rain, man. Right. Like, when you want your plants to grow, what do you have to do? You have to water them. So how would your apples and your bananas grow? By the rain, man. The Lord would give you rain in due season. Meanwhile, everybody else would have famines. And then what would we do? We would have rain in our land. So what would happen? These other nations would have to travel to your land in order to buy food. So they would come to your land and they would give you their purse, meaning their money, to buy food from you. Why? Because there's a famine in their land, so nothing's growing. And then because nothing's growing, that means they can't trade. Because why? They're out of everything. And then before you know it, they would have no money left. And then what would happen? They would have to come and work for you, man. They would have to come and be your slave. They would say, as long as you just feed us, we'll be your slaves and we'll do these things and we'll do those things. Same thing that Joseph done to the Egyptians, man. Right. If you want to know how it works, read the book of Genesis. When the Egyptians came to Joseph and they kept coming and then they ran out of money, They gave their cattle to Joseph and everything. And then what happened? They had to serve Joseph, man. They had to do whatever Joseph asked them in order for them to eat. That's how we could have it if we serve the Lord. We could be the only land on earth that receives rain, and everybody else is to come and buy their things from you, man. And guess what? Guess what you could do? Inflation, man. You could put the price up. That's what real power is, man.
Right.
You could put the price. You see how Boris Johnson's putting 2% on tax? This white man wants a banana. I'm 5%. I'm putting 5% on the bananas. You could do that, man. We could run this earth if we serve the Lord. All these blessings that the Lord's reeling off in Deuteronomy 28,
Right.
we could have them. We could have every last one of them. Imagine that. It's famine on everyone else's land, and it's only raining in your land. So, yeah, go ahead if you got it.
Genesis chapter 41 and 51. Like here, Joseph, Genesis chapter 41 and 56. And the famine was over all the face of the earth.
And the what?
And the famine was over all the face of the earth.
And the famine was in everybody's land. The famine was everywhere over all the face of the earth. So read on what happened because this famine was everywhere. Read on.
And Joseph opened all the storehouses.
And Joseph did what?
Opened all the storehouses.
And the Lord said we would have storehouses. Storehouses is where you store stuff. So you would store your corn, your crops, your bananas, everything, man. Whatever you had, you would store it in them storehouses. So now if there's a famine, now you're going to make money off these storehouses, man.
Right.
Because everybody needs to come and buy it off you. So the things that you just had stored, now you can sell them and make money. And the Lord said in the same Deuteronomy chapter, we would have storehouses. Read on.
And sold unto the Egyptians.
And did what?
And sold unto the Egyptians.
So if we serve the Lord, we could open our storehouses, man.
Right.
And sell to all these nations. We could sell to the white man. We could sell to the Chinese. You see all these HGVs? These HGVs would have all of our stock in there, man. We would have HGVs coming to our storehouses, man.
That's right.
Picking up loads of bananas and fruits and grain, traveling across the country to sell it to the French, to sell it to the Dutch, the Germans. And we would be like, yeah, this is the price. And guess what? They would have to pay the price. Because if they don't want to pay the price, they could starve, man.
Right.
I could say, well, I got flour, I got bananas, I got sugar. If you buy these, you can make fritters, man.
Right.
And if they don't want to buy it, I could say I want £100 for the bananas, £100 for the flour, £100 for the sugar. I say, yo, £300, man, and that's some banana fritters to last you and your family for a month or two.
That's right.
They can say no, and guess what? They can starve to death, man.
Right.
Or they can go in their pocket and pay me what I'm asking.
Right.
That's how we would be living, man. I'll be like, take it or leave it, because we would have so much funds that if they decided to leave it, it wouldn't affect me.
Right.
It would affect them, man, because they're the ones who's in a famine and not me. Read on.
And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt.
And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. Go ahead.
And all the countries came into Egypt to Joseph to buy corn.
Hold on, they did what?
Came into Egypt to Joseph to buy corn.
And all the families came to Egypt to Joseph to buy corn. That could be us right now. Because we would have the storehouses. The Lord said he would give us his good treasure and open up the sky to bring rain down. So our crops would be growing, man.
Right.
And then we'll be chopping it down and bringing it into the storehouse. Wait until it's ready. Then guess what would happen? A hungry Egyptian would come, man.
That's right.
Them Africans from the adverts would come, man. You see them Africans where they're asking us for a £3 donation. They would come to us begging for corn, man. Begging for all these things that we have in the storehouse. And we could say no. Or we can say this is going to be the price. And they'd have to pay it. Read on.
Because that the famine was so sore in all the lands.
The famine was so sore in all the lands that they had to come to Joseph, man. And Joseph served the Lord, man. And that's what we should do, serve the Lord. And we would be in that position where they have to come to us. That way, we wouldn't have to go to them. I mean, what would we need them for? We wouldn't need them. But now, we have to go to them, man. For everything. For every little thing, we have to go to them. You want a day off work, you have to go to them.
Right.
You want food, you have to go to them. You want clothes, you have to go to them. You want a holiday, you have to go to them.
Right.
We slaves to these other nations, whereas the Lord didn't want it to be so, man.
Right.
Deuteronomy 28 is giving you the blessings of what we could have became,
Right.
what we could have been. Imagine this, there's a famine everywhere, and everyone's coming to you for food, man. Imagine the potato famine, The British and the Irish would have been coming to you for food, man.
Right.
Instead, what happened? The rest of the world sent aid to the Irish when it was the potato famine. Listen, man, they would have been coming to us for aid, and what would we would have said? You better work for this, man.
Right.
We would have said, yo, you ain't getting this free. We would have said all these countries ain't coming together to give you donations. Nah, man, you better work for this corn.
Right.
You're dying in that famine. Well, come and work. You got what? You got sons and daughters that are free. Put them on the field, man. Make them work.
Right.
Put them on my plantation, and you will get a little meal every night, man.
Right.
And if they say no, guess what? They're just gonna die in the hot sun with no food.
Right.
So in order to save their life, what would they have to do? Work for me, man. We could have that power if we just serve the Lord.
Right.
We the chosen people of the Lord, and the Lord wants to give us that power. The Lord wants to put us in that position, but we don't want that position, man.
Right.
The Lord gave us the blueprint right here. You want to be in that position? Just listen, just obey my voice. It's that simple. Just keep my laws, statutes, and commandments, and you can be in that position. Read on.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse 12. The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto the land in its season, and to bless all the work of thy hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations.
And this would be us. We would lend unto many nations. Meaning what? When you lend to someone, they give you back, and we would take interest, man.
Right.
I'll borrow you £100 knowing I'm getting £250 back.
Right.
Listen, I could make money off just being a lender. Esau does it, man.
Right.
He makes money off just being a lender. They set up loan companies where they make money just off loaning you money, man,
Right.
and putting a 2% interest on it. Imagine, man, someone lends $5,000 off you, and then they have to pay you back $2,000 profit. Imagine you do that to 5 people. You've made $10,000 off nothing, man.
Right.
Imagine you do that to 10 people. You've made near enough $20,000 off nothing. Right. These loan companies do that, man. They lend to us, and we have to pay them interest. The Lord's given us the blueprint right here that what we would lend to many nations, meaning they would come to us for a loan, and I'd say, yeah, you want 10 grand? Well, I'm gonna need a $2,000 interest on it.
Right.
And they're gonna take it or leave it. And if they do take it, I'll do it 5 times, and that's 10 grand for me, man.
That's right.
Do another 5 times, that's another 10 grand for me. We could be living like that, man. You drug dealers think you're making money. Nah, man. If you serve the Lord, you can just put interest on everything when these nations lend off you, man.
Right.
Read that part one more time.
And thou shalt lend unto many nations.
Listen, man, you drug dealers think you're making money. You ain't making no money, man. You're putting your life on the line. Whereas you could come and serve the Lord. And when we in power, you could lend to many nations. And you could get interest for free, man.
Right.
You don't need to be looking over your shoulder, looking all these shots and all of them things, man. You could sit down on your behind all day and make money off lending to these nations,
right,
and then bringing you interest. Same how they do it to us. Esau don't have to sell drugs. What does he do? Just sets up loan companies, and you phone him, and sometimes you can't even get through. It's that busy. You keep phoning. There's a thing called a payday loan. So when you get paid, you give them interest out of your pay. Listen, man, that could be us. You set up all types of loans you want to set up, man, and they would have to pay you, man. You wouldn't need to lift the finger. You would be getting payday loans, man, because these nations would come to you. You'd lend to many nations. If we serve the Lord, that's how we could be living. Read on. But now, what you're finding out about these blessings, we don't get not one of them because we disobeyed the Lord. So everything that we could have been, we the opposite, man. We on the losing end of them. Read on.
And thou shalt not borrow, and the Lord shall make.
And he says, and thou shalt not borrow. Listen, man. Black man, we always borrowing now.
Right.
We wouldn't have to borrow. Like, we wouldn't have to borrow nothing. Why? Because we would have everything. The reason you don't need to borrow is because you have everything, man. But now we have to borrow. We need to borrow money. We need to beg them for a council house. We need to mortgage, everything, man. We need to borrow money for the mortgage. We have to borrow. You know why? Because we didn't serve the Lord, man.
Right.
So now we at the bottom where these nations rule over us, and now they can tell us no. They have the right to tell us no, and we can't do nothing about it. We have to beg them for it. Now you have to beg them for a job, and they treat you like garbage on the job, and you still have to beg for that job, man.
Right.
Read on.
And the Lord shall make thee the head.
And the Lord shall what?
Make thee the head.
And we would be the head. The head means you're at the top. We would be the government. We would be the police. We would be the authority, man. Everybody would come to us when they needed something. Everything would have to go through us. You see how Esau's the head now. You see how the British Empire, how they could have colonies, how they could cut your country off, how they can split your country in two. That would be us, man.
Right.
I would be able to split countries in two, man, and say, yo, you are no longer one country no more. How Esau does it, man. He just looks at old maps and draws a line down the middle. Okay, this country is this country is that. Because he's the head. He has the right to do it, man. He comes to your country and puts his landmark there, puts churches in your country, man. Now the Church of England is in Jamaica and everywhere. Now there's a Church of England in near enough every country. Now there's a British military base in near enough every country.
Right.
Because now this man is the head, whereas we should have been the head, man.
That's right.
The head is supposed to be us. The Lord's telling us right here, if we served him, we would have been the head. Go ahead.
And not the tail.
And what?
And not the tail.
And the tail is at the bottom. Go ahead.
Thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath.
And what?
And thou shalt not be beneath.
And thou shalt not be beneath. If we serve the Lord, and then lo and behold, where are we now? Beneath. Even down to everything that we have. We can't even get the best of everything. Why? Because we can't afford it. We have to borrow. We have to beg them for jobs. Why? Because we need the money, and they have all the money. Imagine this: if you're doing a job for £10 an hour, if they can pay you £10 an hour, how much work are they getting out of you, man? Surely they ain't making £10 an hour off you to pay you £10 an hour. They're making way more money off you, man, and then you just get £10 out of that hour, which means you're probably doing £100 work, man.
Right.
You're doing £100 work and getting £10 an hour for it, and you don't see that there's nothing wrong with that, man.
Right.
That's wrong, because we supposed to be ruling the earth. We ain't supposed to be working these regular jobs that we're working, man. We ain't supposed to be working for no other nation.
Right.
These nations are supposed to be working for us.
That's
It's meant to be us giving them £10 an hour for £100 work, man.
right.
I'm supposed to say lawn the grass. Tell him lawn the grass in the thunderstorm. Make him get electrocuted. You get me? Make him get. I'm supposed to have that power, man. Make him lawn the grass in the thunderstorm, man. I'm supposed to be able to do that. But now they do that to you, man. Have you working on the railways in the freezing cold, in the rain? You're half shaken to death in the orange hivers, man. In the hot orange hivers in the helmet, working night shifts for near enough peanuts, man. Read on. That's what happens when you don't serve the Lord.
If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them, and thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day.
And it said we shouldn't go aside from any of the words that the Lord commands us this day. And the words that the Lord commanded us is the law, man.
Right.
So do these laws, keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. But what happened? Us being black people, we didn't want to keep them, man. Us being black people, we wanted to do the opposite to what the Lord says. Like the Bible says, we are stiff-necked people, man.
Right.
Meaning we're hard-headed. The Lord tells us one thing, and we'll be like, I'm going to do the opposite anyway. Why? Because we are stiff-necked people, man. Like that's what the Lord said to Moses. This is a stiff-necked people. You know what? It's funny I tell this story because a Christian once said to me, a stiff-neck means, you can't turn it. That's what they thought it was. That they thought the nation of Israel. They thought it meant, when what's it? Your neck's cricked. That's what they thought. They thought it meant that this whole nation's neck's cricked. Like that's what they thought. They thought it meant this whole nation's neck's cricked and you can't turn it. That's what happens when you read the Bible as a Christian, man. You read this is a stiff-necked people, and then you believe that means their neck's cricked, and they need a neck brace on it, and they need to put the oil and turn it slowly. That's what you believe when you read the Bible as a Christian. But when you read the Bible and understand it, you'll understand stiff-necked means hard-headed. It's how black people talk, man. You're hard-headed. You're hard of hearing.
Right.
That's what it means. That's an old Jamaican one. You're hard of hearing.
That's right.
And that's us, man. The Lord said that before. The Lord said that to us before any Jamaican ever said that to us, man.
That's right.
The Lord said we are stiff-necked people before any Jamaican ever said we're hard of hearing. But read on.
Or to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But thou shalt come to pass. So but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So now, we read the blessings part. So now we're going to get to the curses part now. It says, all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So now, we're going to read the curses, man. And we're going to see if this fits our lifestyle or not. Because all these curses have came upon us and overtook us. The way we're living, man. We're going to read them. Go ahead.
Cursed shall that be in the city.
Say that again.
Cursed shall that be in the city.
We cursed in the city, man. Whether we're rich or poor, whether we move to the suburbs, whether we think we're better than other black people, we cursed in the city and in the field, man. Look at that brother that died from the wire. What's his name? Is that his name? Is he Omar in the Wire? He's Omar in the Wire. No, I've never ever watched it, but I just see people talking about Mike or something from the Wire. I've never watched it in my life, but listen, man. So much of us is who's rich. We cursed in the city and in the field, man. Whether you're rich or poor, these curses will still overtake you.
Right.
You can't you can't escape them, man. Listen, man. Tupac and Biggie was millionaires, man, and still died like the rest of us die, man. Tupac and Biggie died how you die in Handsworth, man. Now, we would have thought that money could have saved them from that, but it can't, man. All these rappers, King Von, C-Day, was it C-Day or E-Day? E-Day. Yeah, King Von, E-Day, FBG, Doc, money-making Defang, all of them, man. Making money and still what? Dying the same way we die, man.
Right.
Mo Free, all these rappers, man. Made it big money, and the curses still overtook them. Now, you don't see white people dying like that. Eminem ain't had a bullet yet, man. Eminem, H, and RD ain't had a bullet yet, man.
Right.
Which lets you know these curses overtake us. Go ahead.
Cursed shall that be in the city, and cursed shall that be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket, and cursed shall be thy store.
Cursed shall be thy basket, and cursed shall be thy store. And that's us, man. We have a hole in our basket. That hole what comes out of there, rent, the bills. Listen, so much that now we can't even afford our children's school uniforms, man.
Right.
We so poor right now that we need to get them fruit vouchers. We need to get them fruit vouchers, man. Go ahead. You know them fruit vouchers. That's what we need to get, man. We need to get them fruit vouchers, man. Where you go to Asda and you've seen the milk vouchers. That's how poor we've become. That now the white man has to give us milk vouchers, man, in order for us to get milk and fruit. Why? Because our basket's cursed.
Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body.
A brother said, what Hispanics are you speaking of? The ones who descend from Israel on their father's side. So not the Spaniards. Obviously, the Spaniard ones, they wouldn't be Israelites. So obviously, same like with us. You will see black people in the UK and think all black people are Israelites when it's not so. Now you got some Edomites who are dark skinned. Why? Because some of our sisters have sex with white men.
Right.
And then obviously they would be Edomites on their father's side. So the Hispanics I'm speaking about, who's the Israelites on their father's side, I'm speaking about them ones. The Native American on their father's sides, they're natives and not just settlers who came years later with who are Edomites or whatever. Same like with us. People see people and be like, oh, they're what do they call them? Biracial. So say for instance, I'm gonna use the term the world uses. There could be two mixed race people. One could have a black father, one could have a white father. Now the one with the
father who's Caribbean, he would be an Israelite. The one with a father whose father's white, he would be an Edomite. So obviously, I'm speaking about them ones whose father is an Israelite. So yeah, that's the ones I'm speaking about. Them whose father is Ephraim. That's what I'm speaking about. Go ahead.
Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land.
And it says, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body. And what comes from your body? Your children. And why are your children? Why is the fruit of your body cursed? Why? Because the trauma that you have, you've done passed it on to your children. The trauma that they have, they've done passed it on to their children. And this is why each generation always says, yo, this generation's getting worse. The reason each generation's getting worse is why? Because they're carrying around all the trauma of the previous generations, man.
Right.
They're carrying around your father's trauma. They're carrying around your trauma. They're carrying around their own trauma. So that's what it says, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body. Because if you know anything, trauma is passed on. Imagine if you are in the house all day with your mom and your mom's distraught and miserable and you're a child, that distress then gets passed on to you. Over time, that distress gets passed on to you. I mean, how do you learn to talk? By listening to your parents. That's how you learn your accent and your language. Why? By listening to your parents. The reason we speak English is because our parents speak English. And the same reason we have trauma is because our parents had trauma, man. The same way you pick up accents and languages is the same way you pick up trauma. And this is why it's very important how you are around your kids. Because you can pass your trauma on to them without them even knowing. I mean, how do we go from one day playing with toys, man? How do we go from one day playing with Power Ranger toys and teddy bears to then we're picking up guns, man? Where did it go wrong? Something went wrong somewhere along the lines, man. We went from playing with kids' toys to picking up guns and knives. That's this curses, man. Read on.
Curse. And the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind.
And the fruit of thy land, man. The fruit of thy land's cursed, meaning what? You're trying to grow food to feed your family, man, and it don't work. The fruit of your land is cursed so much that what? Now, you ain't even got no land to grow any fruit on.
Right.
Now you're eating chicken feet, man. Now you're eating chicken back and chicken beak. Now you're eating cow foot and cow tongue, man. That's your meals, man. Now you're drinking manish water, man. Making that like you enjoy it. Not realizing it's slave food, man. Not realizing it was food that you got out the garbage. That's what happens when the fruit of your land's cursed, man. When the fruit of your land's cursed and your kind's cursed and your cattle, you end up eating chicken foot, man. Because you ain't got the rest of the cattle to eat. So you're eating the garbage chicken feet, man. That's what happens when you cursed, man. The white man don't eat that stuff that we eat, man. Because he eats the best of the meat. Why you have to eat chicken feet now? That's what happens when your land is cursed and it's not producing nothing. When your land ain't producing nothing, what happens? You have to eat mud cakes like the Haitians, man. They eat mud and call it cakes. They eat mud and it's called mud cakes. That's what they eat, man. Why? Because the fruit of their land is cursed. And these are the curses that we going through, man. Go ahead.
And the flocks of thy sheep.
And the flocks of thy sheep. So because you ain't producing those things, chicken foot is your dinner, man. Because you ain't producing those things, liver is your dinner now. Because you ain't producing those things, cow tongue is your dinner now.
Right.
The stuff that Esau throws away has become your 3-course meal, man.
That's right.
Has become the stuff that you love now. Read on.
Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in.
Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, man. You come in. You come in, man. And your parents is probably smoking weed all through that pregnancy, man. Imagine you come in and you're already addicted to crack, man. You're already addicted to weed. You're already full of pork and every other abomination. Why? Because obviously the umbilical cord that you're hooked up to, which is hooked up to your mom, the food that you're getting is what she eats. This weed that she's smoking is coming down the umbilical cord straight to you, man. You're high. Curse when thou comest in, Salakia. Curse when thou comest in, and curse when thou goest out. And this is what our life has become in 2021, man. This is what our life has become when we disobey the Lord, man. We cursed on our way in and cursed on our way out, man. You're born to parents who ain't got a clue what they're doing, man. You're born to parents who don't even know how to raise you properly. Cursed when thou comest in, cursed when thou goest out. Read on.
The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke.
And listen, man, that's us. We vex in this place, man. Why do you think black men is so angry towards one another? Because all these curses and all this vexation. Why do you think there's so much black on black crime, man? Why do you think we prominent in gang culture? Because we vex, man. And when we vex, what happens? We have to take it out on someone else. And we take it out on somebody else who's also vexed. Imagine I'm vexed and he's vexed. We perfect arch enemies, man. Imagine we're both angry. We both got the same kind of anger towards life. And we take it out on each other, man. These other nations love that. They love it, man, when we kill one another and harm one another and when we vex and so forth. And we vex, why? Because our life is hard from the time we come in to the time we come out, man. We don't get no rest. We don't get no peace. Our life is hard on every side. On every single side, our life is hard.
Right.
Read on.
And rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto.
And now everything we set our hand to, it flops, man. Everything that we plan to do and aspire to do, it doesn't work out, man. Why? Because the Lord ain't with us.
That's right.
And the way we live in shows the Lord ain't with us, man.
Right.
Everything we set our hand and aspire to do, it doesn't work. Whereas when we read the blessings, if we did serve the Lord, it would work. So everything we aspire to do doesn't work for us. Why do you think we've been talking about these same business ventures for the last 100 years? Why do you think we've been talking about setting up black businesses for the last 100 years? Why do you think we've been talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna set up these black businesses, and it don't work? Why do you think all the roads that used to be black is no longer black? Why do you think there's no black stores or nothing, man? Because everything we set our hand to do, it doesn't work. Right. Now, 1 in 2 it might work, but us as a nation, it don't work. Like, you show me the black version of Chinatown, man. Right. You can't do it. Now, we've been talking for years about we want to do this and do that, but we can't get a black version of Chinatown. You know why? Because everything we set our hands to do, it's not going to work, man. Right. Because we disobeyed the Lord. So the Lord said we're going to be cursed when we're coming in, cursed when we're going out, and cursed is going to be our basket. Go ahead.
Until thou be destroyed.
Until what?
Until thou be destroyed.
And listen, man, we destroyed, man. We are destroyed people. So much that what? We don't even see each other as the same people. Right. We don't see each other as the same people. We hate one another, man. We're not even a people no more. We've become individuals. Now, we don't come together. We don't want to work together. We don't want to do nothing together. We've become individuals, man. We've become like, you do your thing and I'll do my thing. That's how we've become. Because we destroyed. We don't see the power of working together. We don't see the power of brotherhood. We don't see the power of coming together and making things work. We don't see that, man. We hate one another. So now, nothing will work for us, man. We're trying to do everything solo when the Lord didn't call us to be individuals, man. Right. The Lord never called us to be an individual. The Lord called us as brothers to work together and do things together and make things work. And when you fall, your brother's supposed to be there to pick you up. But now what do? Our brother falls, we pull it off on Wild Star. That's what we do, man. Right. Record his shortcomings and laugh about it. Because we fell so far. Go ahead.
And until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doing. Because of the what? Because of the wickedness of thy doing.
And we perishing because of the wickedness of our doings. We're being killed at an alarming rate. We're being killed so much that because of the mercy of the Lord is the reason why we still exist as a nation, man. Right. Because at the rate we're dying at, we shouldn't even be here as a nation. That's right. Every day you turn on the news, another black man's dead, another black man's in jail. That's their way of them trying to wipe us out as a nation. You put all the men in jail, and then they can't reproduce. Why? Because they're in jail. You kill all the men on the road, they can't reproduce because they're dead. You turn all the men gay, they can't reproduce because they're gay. That's how you wipe out a nation, man.
Right.
And that's their plan, to want to wipe out our nation. So what did they do? He used pawns like Little Nas X to brainwash you into thinking that's a normal way of living,
Right.
to make you think, okay, it's fun and it's a good way to live. They brainwash us into thinking them things. And then we fall for it. And then what happens? We commit crime, so we go to jail, we can't reproduce. We commit crime and join gangs and get killed and kill. We can't reproduce. Our nation becomes homosexuals, they can't reproduce. Listen, man. They want to do that to eradicate us. In the book of Exodus, it says, let us deal wisely with them. And nowadays, they're dealing wisely with us, man. They give us all these movies about the mob and the mafia. The mob and the mafia. And then we be like, yo, I want to be Lucky Luciano. This is why so much niggas is walking around calling themselves Coleone. You got rappers Looney Coleone. You got rappers Matt Coleone and all of them got them Italian names. Honcho, Genovese, the Banano. Everybody thinks they're an Italian mobster now. When really, we ain't the mafia, man. We're righteous people. Let the mafia be the mafia, man. Let the Italians run Sicily and do whatever they want to do, man. And guess what? Let me tell you something else. Black people can't even join the mafia, man.
Right.
Black people can't even join the mafia. They said if you ain't full-blooded Italian, you can't be in the mafia. The most you can do is be a side man for them. Like you being black, you could never be a made man in the mafia. Meaning a made man in the mafia means what? You can't get killed unless the five families agree to it. Meaning you're a made man, you can't get touched unless the 5 families agree to it. Whereas you being a black man trying to be in the mafia, you get touched every single day, man. You get touched every single day. You ain't no made man. We need to leave all this gangster nonsense alone, man, and serve the Lord.
Right.
I think that's what we should do. Leave all that garbage alone and serve the Lord, man. Read on.
Whereby thou hast forsaken me, the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee.
Lord shall what?
Make the pestilence cleave unto thee.
Now listen, man. These pestilence, disease, cleave unto us, man. These diseases, these roaches and everything is in your house. They're living in mice-infested places, man.
Right.
Every day you set in mouse traps. Every day you come downstairs, there's droppings on the surface, man. You can't even leave food out because there's holes all in the packaging. You know that a mouse has been in there somewhere. And you have to eat that bread. You know why? Because you're going to starve, man. Right. You're poor and that's the only bread you got. And there's mice droppings all over the place in the toast there. Mice droppings on top of the microwave and so forth. Why? Because they give you rat-infested houses, man. Right. And it don't help if you're living next door to the East Indians who put their big rubbish bags out, man, right, without tying them properly. Read on.
Until he hath consumed thee.
Now listen, man. The pestilence and all these diseases consume us, man. It consumes us, man. We live in moldy apartments, man. So much that it hurts up your chest. So much that you've had a cough for the whole year, man. From all the mold you've breathed in, or the asbestos you've breathed in. That's how we live in the UK, man. That's how we live in Brazil, Puerto Rico, all them places, man. That's how we live in all these places. Disgusting like that. With this pestilence and these diseases cleave onto us, man. Infections, all these curses and punishments cleave onto us. Read on.
From off the land.
And you're not even on the land no more. You're on another man's land. We on another man's land that don't belong to us. We on another man's land where it was on another man's land where it's 29 degrees today and it's going to thunderstorm tomorrow. Listen, man, we on a land that's not ours, man. On a land where we're not free. On a land where we don't get no equal opportunities. On a land where racism is prevalent in this place, man. on a land where everyone's racist towards us, people kill us and nothing happens. They throw us in jail, nothing happens. They attack us and beat us up, nothing happens. We on, we on a land like that. That's the land that we are now, man. Whereas what? I should be waking up and my next door neighbor should be an Israelite, man.
Right.
I should look over the road, see another Israelite. I should be able to let my kids play out in the neighborhood knowing that they're all safe, man.
That's
But we're on a land where you can't do that no more.
right.
I should live in a land where I can leave my door open all night and no one's going to steal because they understand we all brothers, man.
Right.
But now I live in a place where my brother doesn't know that he's my brother. I live in a place where what? My brother doesn't know that my life is valuable, man. I live in a place where what? My brother doesn't know that my kids' life is valuable. That's where we live in now, man. In a place where our brothers don't know them things. Whereas every man for himself and every man's trying to do harm to one another. Every man's trying to rob from one another. Every man's trying to kill one another. That's the place where we live, man. How we living right now is like Call of Duty. What is it? Free for all. Where it's every man for themselves. That's how we living, man. Like Call of Duty, free for all. When we supposed to be a team of brothers, man. When we supposed to police our communities. When we supposed to keep all our children safe. When we ain't supposed to be knifing each other. But obviously we in a land that's not ours, man. And they've showed us gang culture in movies. And we've ate it up and said, this is what I want to be. So now we want to be Lucky Luciano now. Now we want to be every mafia that there is. Now we want to be, what's the boss? Don Corleone. Now we want to be the Don Corleone. So much that when black men talk, they call each other Don. Have you noticed? Black men will pull up to you like, yo, what's going on, Don? Using all of these Italian words. Now we all using all these Italian words, thinking we're the mafia. That's how low we've become. But read on.
You got goers can possess it. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever.
The Lord shall what?
Smite thee with a consumption and with a fever.
The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever. And now we getting sick from everything, man.
Right.
We getting sick from everything, man. We're smited with a consumption, things that consume our own bodies, consume our whole bodies, man. We're smited with coronavirus and everything, man. Now our bodies consumed with the next one where your legs get gangrene and you have to get them amputated, man. We're consumed with all kind of illness. We're consumed with high blood pressure. We're consumed with diabetes. So much that if you get certain illnesses, it leads to other ones. Like if you got a certain illness and you bang your leg or whatever, your leg doesn't heal properly, so then it has to be amputated, man. We're consumed with those things. We're consumed with lung cancer from smoking weed and all of them things. We're consumed with all kind of cancers, all kind of illness. Consumed with gout and all of them things, man. We're consumed with AIDS and all of them things, man. Our body is being destroyed while we're walking in it, man. While we're walking in this very body, we destroying it with all the things we put in it. Understand this? This body is with you for the rest of your life. So you might want to look after it, man.
Right.
You might want to be careful about what you put in it, man.
Right.
You might want to be careful about how black you're making your lungs, man.
Right.
Now, you might can handle it in your youth and your teens. But as you get older, believe it or not, your body starts to shut down, man.
Right.
Your limbs start to hurt. You start to get shortness of breath. You start to slow down. And in your old age, you're going to regret all the smoking you done in your youth.
Right.
You're going to regret eating all the pork you did in your youth.
Right.
And when you're old and grey, you're going to pray to the Lord, oh Lord, I don't want to go out like this. I don't want to have to wear this mask on my face for 8 hours a day. I don't want to wear this oxygen mask for 8 hours a day, sitting on this machine and that machine.
Right.
That's what you're going to be saying when you're in your old age, man. You're going to be crying your eyes out, and then you're going to say to the kids, look after your bodies, because when I was your age, I smoked my life away. I drank my liver away. And look at me now. I'm ready to die. Don't make the mistake that I made. And like we said, black people are hard-headed. So they'll listen to you and be like, well, that's a you problem. That's not going to happen to me.
Right.
That only happens to people like you. And they will do the same thing until they get old. And then they're going to be like, maybe I should have listened. Whereas we could nip it in the bud and listen to the Lord right now, this second, man. Where we could nip it in the bud and say, listen to the Lord and say, you know what? I'm not going to smoke until my lungs go black. I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to drink until my liver can't even function how it's supposed to. My liver ain't pumping how it's supposed to. My liver ain't working how it's supposed to. My lungs don't work how they're supposed to. Listen, man, what we put in our body comes back to haunt us later in life.
Right.
Some people sooner than others, but eventually it will catch up with you one day, man. Like we said, these curses overtake you, so you ain't gonna outsmart the Lord. You ain't just gonna be sinning and get away from the Lord. One day it's coming to overtake you, man. The Lord might be giving you a bit of mercy for you to get right, but one day this smoking is gonna catch up with you, man. One day you're gonna be coughing up blood and all these things. You're gonna go to the hospital. They're gonna give you an X-ray, and they're gonna say we found a lump here, we found a tumor here, and you're gonna cry your eyes out, and then you're gonna put down the cigarettes. Why don't you put the cigarettes down before it gets to that stage, man?
Right.
Why don't you put the weed down before it gets to that stage? Do it now, man. Make the decision to change your life today. Make that decision to change your life and be a righteous man and a righteous woman today. Don't wait till tomorrow, man, because you don't know what curse can come tomorrow. You don't know what punishment can come tomorrow. So I suggest you change your life today, man. Don't wait on it, man. Don't tarry. Why? Because the Lord's patience runs out from time to time, man. The Lord ain't patient forever. One day patience runs out and punishments come, man. So I suggest you change your life today. Go ahead.
And with an inflammation and with an extreme burning
And with inflammation, man. And with burning, man. Like some people have got inflammation on their heart. Some people have inflammation all over with an inflammation and with a burning, man. Keep having sex with all these holes, man. When you urinate, you're gonna have a burning, man.
That's right.
When you urinate, it's gonna burn so much that you don't want to go toilet, man.
Right.
The Lord will consume us with inflammation and a burning. Listen, man. These things will kill you, man. Whereas we could just listen to the Lord and we wouldn't need them things. Read what verse you at? Yeah, go ahead.
And with the sword.
And with the sword. And that's what we're dying with right now, man. With the sword. We're dying with the sword. We're being killed, man. On the streets. We're being shot, stabbed, murdered, kidnapped, thrown off buildings, dying of drug overdoses. We being killed with the sword. All these curses fit us, man. If you're talking about as a nation, these curses fit us, man. Now, when Esau gets killed, they die as theirs is on an individual basis. It's not known as a national thing for the whole nation, but with us, every black man you speak to knows someone who's died young, knows someone who's died from this thing, knows someone who's died from that. That's our life, whereas nobody experiences it the way we experience it, man. Which is letting you know these curses are clearly talking about us, man. Right. These curses only fit us and nobody else. Go ahead.
And with a blasting, and with
a what?
And with a blasting.
Damn, listen, man, we get blasted by bullets, man. So lucky.
Right.
We getting blasted by bullets, man.
Yeah.
We getting blasted by Glock 40s and all of them things, man. Right. Go ahead.
And with mildew.
And with mildew, man. Listen, man. You've seen brothers' legs get gangrened all up so much it has to be amputated. You've seen a brother's arm change color so much it has to be amputated. You've seen people's foot go weird color, it has to be amputated. When we was on them slave ships, we was covered in mildew, man.
Right.
We was covered in vomit and sick and mildew so much that slaves' legs had to be amputated. And then if their legs was amputated, some of them would just throw them off the ship. Why? Because no one ain't gonna buy them. Who's gonna buy a slave with one leg? It's like you buying a car. It's like you buying a car with no wheel, man. It's like you buying a car with no wheels. It's like you expecting a car to drive with no wheels. You're gonna look at that car and say, I don't want that garbage. And they would look at you as a slave and say, I don't want this garbage with one leg. What work can he do? So instead of them just letting you live, they would rather kill you, man. Imagine this, they could have just let you live for free and say, you know what, okay, he's got one leg. Let's just leave him. They would rather throw you off the ship and kill you. Because why? If you ain't making them money, your life is useless to them. Right. If you ain't making them money, your life doesn't matter. If you ain't making them a penny, your life doesn't matter. They would rather you not live if you ain't making them money. Surely a man with a conscience would say, you know what? This man can't work because he's got one leg. Let's just take him back to where we got him from and just let him run away. Let him roam free. Not them. What did they do? Just killed you and said, you know, it's useless because they saw your whole life as a slave. I mean, they see you as a slave. It's like a job. A job fires you when you're not doing the job. This man kills you when you can't do the job because he don't see you nothing more than as a slave worker. So that's all you are to him is a slave worker. You're nothing more, you're nothing less. You can't do the job, then you die. It's that simple. You can't work on this plantation, then you die. That's how they see you. Go ahead.
And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under shall be iron.
And the heaven above thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under shall be iron. Meaning what? Your life is hard all the way around, man. This precept right here is that saying, I'm between a rock and a hard place. That's you, man.
Right.
Yeah, your heaven was brass and your earth was iron. You're between a rock and a hard place, man. There's nowhere for you to go. Everywhere you go is hard times. Everywhere is hard work and hard times. Everywhere you go, you're between a rock and a hard place, which this is basically saying right here. Read on.
The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust.
Listen, man. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. Meaning what? You ain't getting no rain, man. So it means you're going to have a famine. Your crops ain't going to grow. Your ground's going to go dry. Your crops is going to die. Your cattle's going to die. And then what's going to happen? You're going to be the nation that has to go to somebody else for help, man.
Right.
You're going to be the nation that has to go to somebody else for corn. You're going to have to be the nation that sells yourself to another nation to be a slave.
Right.
That will be you. Why? Because the Lord said he's not going to give you no rain. Why? Because you're disobedient unto him, man. I mean, and rain is synonymous with what? Blessings. The Lord ain't going to give you no rain for your land, so there's going to be famines. And the Lord ain't going to give you no blessings either, man. And your heaven's iron and your earth is brass. So you're between a rock and a hard place, man. And you can't get out of this rock and this hard place. And what put you in this rock and this hard place? Disobeying the Lord. That's what got you in between this rock and this hard place. Read on.
From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed.
And listen, man. That soon happened. We was destroyed, man. Famines everywhere. Pestilence everywhere. Mildew everywhere. Can't eating cow tongue and cow foot. Things that is slave foods. Now, it's not unlawful to eat. Don't get me wrong, but it's something that you didn't eat before slavery. So it's just slave food. Go ahead.
The Lord shall make the rain of the land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down until thou be destroyed.
Go ahead.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies.
There you go. Because we disobeyed the Lord, we're smitten before our enemies. Now our enemies reign over us. They rule over us. They kill us. And what do? Hold signs, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. That's all we can do though, man.
Right.
Because why? We ain't got no might in our hands. We can't do nothing apart from hold a sign and march through the street, begging the same animal killing us to stop killing us, man. Begging the same beast that's murdering us to stop murdering us. And then we go there with signs, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. When no other nation has to do that, man. With these other nations, you touch one of them, they go to war. But with us, we can't do that, man. We have to hold signs, no justice, no peace. Read on.
Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and thou shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
Read that one more time.
And flee 7 ways before them, and thou shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
Listen, man. It says, and thou shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Listen, man. We was removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Look at all the white man's colonies. We've been removed to all of them, man. We've been removed to all of them, man. What the white man done is did what? Went to America where the natives was and took them captives on slave ships to Europe, man.
Right.
Took them to Spain and places. People saying that Native Americans have never been into slavery. They went on slave ships before we did, man.
That's right.
But what it is, most people don't mention their slavery because they only mention the transatlantic slave trade. But listen, they also went into slavery, man. They took them from America across Europe to Spain and places, man. I mean, why do you think they speak? Why do you think they speak Spanish in those languages today? Why? Because they was conquered by the Spanish. They was moved into all the kingdoms of the earth, just like we was. We was moved into all our oppressors' colonies. Read on.
And thy carcass shall be meat unto all the fowls of the air.
And the what?
And thy carcass shall be meat unto all the fowls of the air.
And listen, thy meat shall be carcass to all the fowls of the air. And if you know anything about slavery in the Caribbean, what they would do is tie you up and allow the jankros to eat you, man. The jankros is like what them birds and them predator birds, eagles and so forth. They would tie you up, and these birds would come and eat you, man. Your body was meat to the fowls of the air. So what that's saying right there fits us, man. They would tie us up and leave us out there in the hot sun, cover you in molasses, and mosquitoes would come and bite you up to death, man. Mosquitoes would suck your blood till there's nothing left. They left us to all these fowls of the air, man. They let these birds and stuff eat us. They would leave you out there for those things to eat you, man. What they would do is sometimes hang you and leave your head on a pole, and the birds would come and peck at your head and all of those things, man. Listen, man, this fits us. Read on.
And unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt.
The Lord shall what?
Smite thee with the botch of Egypt.
The Lord shall smite thee with the botch of Egypt. Meaning, you see the curses that them Egyptians got. The Lord will now put these curses on you, man.
Right.
You don't want to obey the Lord. You seen what them Egyptians went through. You seen how them Egyptians cried night and day from all the plagues, the 10 plagues that I left them, them diseases I gave them. Well, you want to disobey me. I'm going to treat you how I treated the Egyptians.
Right.
You don't want to behave how I want you to behave. I'm going to treat you like an Egyptian, man.
Right.
I'm going to treat you like you know children of mine. I'm going to treat you like a stranger how I done the Egyptians if you don't want to obey me, man. The Lord's letting you know who'll give you the botch of Egypt. Read on.
And with the emeralds, and with the scaff.
And with the what? The emeralds, man. Like the Lord gave them them Philistines hemorrhoids and them things, man. Them things, hemorrhoids where you what? You can't even use the toilet. Why is it where you got blood vessels in you behind? You can't even use the toilet, man. The Lord said he will smite us with those things. Read on.
And with the scaff, and with the itch, whereof thou canst be healed.
Exactly.
Thou shalt smite thee with the thou shalt smite thee with madness and blindness.
The Lord shall what?
Smite thee with madness and blindness.
And now we've been smited with madness and blindness. Most of our people is mad and they're out their mind, man. They're crazy, they're out their mind. Demons have consumed them, took over their body, man. Demons is all over them. You look at our people, they're smited with madness and blindness. Like our people is so blind to Christianity, man. They believe Christianity that can save them. They believe the church can save them. Like we're so blinded that what? We can't see that this man oppressing us is the devil, man. We've been smited with blindness that we can't see this very man is the devil, man. Right. We have a veil on our eyes which blocks us from seeing who this man really is. And this is why the I.S.U.P.K is here to do what? Take this veil off our people's eyes, man, so they can see this man for who he is. Go ahead.
And astonishment of heart. And thou
Listen,
shalt grow.
And astonishment of heart is what? Like anxiety, man. That's what astonishment of heart is. It's things like anxiety, things like depression. We go through it, man. You probably don't know this, but tons of black people suffer from anxiety, man. But most people won't tell you. Most of our people suffer from depression, low self-esteem, anxiety. All of those things is astonishment of heart, man. We suffer from those things. Why? Because we living in conditions that we shouldn't be living in. So we anxious about everything, man. Anxious. We suffer from anxiety. We believe we can't do stuff. We believe we're incapable. We suffer from all them things, man. That's what astonishment of heart is, anxiety. Read on.
And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness.
And we grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, man. At noonday, we lost. We lost in religions, man. We lost in philosophy. We lost in believing in all this Illuminati stuff. We lost in believing in all these weird rituals. We're lost in all of this African belief system. We lost in all of these things, man. And we walking in the daytime like it's nighttime, man. Why? Because we have a veil on our eyes, man, which doesn't allow us to see. Read on.
And thou shalt not prosper in thy way.
And listen, man. Look at how we live, man. We ain't prospering at all. Been here all these years and ain't no black businesses set up, man. Ain't a damn thing. We ain't prospering. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
And what?
And no man shall save thee.
It says that no man shall save thee, meaning no man can redeem you, man. Marcus Garvey tried. He's still a slave in England. Martin Luther King tried. He's still a slave. Paul Bogle tried. He's still a slave. The Maroons tried. He's still a slave. The Rastafarians tried. He's still a slave. Listen, man. No man shall buy you, man. No man shall save you. No man can save us from this situation, man.
Right.
Your pastor can't save us. And you know how you know he can't save us? Because he ain't saved us yet, man. No man shall save you. You know why? Because in the same chapter, it says the king that thou shalt set over thee shall come into captivity with you, man.
Right.
Meaning the man that you would go to for all the answers, the man that you would go to for reassurance, he came into captivity with you, man, because he didn't have the answers. Yeah. These so-called warrior kings that we had, that Africans, that Rastafarians like to talk about, these so-called warrior kings that we had, these so-called ancestors with the power can't save you, man. All of that stuff is garbage. Read on.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her, man. Meaning what? You're engaged to a woman, and what would happen? After you've been picking cotton all day, the slave master would barge into the plantation house, because obviously the house that you lived in on the plantation was like a shed. Would barge into the house where she's staying and rape her, man. Imagine she's betrothed to you, and you have to hear her screams, you have to hear her cries, and there's nothing you can do about it, man. All you can do is stand there and accept what's happening. And then after this man leaves her, she's on the floor, and you're going there consoling her. Meanwhile, you was there while she was getting raped, and you can't do nothing to stop it, man. Listen, man, it says you shall betroth a wife, and the next man shall lie with her. This man uses her as a bed wench, has sex with her and throws her back, has sex with her and says, all right, yeah, she's yours now. And she's on the floor, distraught, man, going through all the trauma of being raped and abused. At least she knew the white man was the devil. Right. Nowadays, my sisters don't know he's the devil and have sex with him freely. Right. Nowadays, my sisters don't know he's the devil and they open their legs to him at will. Right. Whereas, at least these sisters knew that this man's the devil and he should be nowhere near them. This man forced himself on them, raped them, and left her crying her eyes out, man. Left her traumatized. And then you go in there, and she's looking at you like, wow, why didn't you help me? You're meant to be a man and you've done nothing to save me. That then messes with your self-esteem because you feel less of a man. And she then looks at you as less of a man because you stood by and watched her be attacked. And then in her mind, it's like, why do I need this man if he can't even stop me from being raped from the slave master? In her mind, it's like, I don't need this man. And then that then puts a strain on used to, and then used to can no longer function. Why? Because you're thinking about this man all on top of her, and she's thinking about you couldn't protect her. Go ahead.
Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
Thou shalt what?
Thou shalt not dwell therein.
And you would build a house, and you wouldn't get to dwell therein, man. You would build a house, and guess where you would go? Your bedroom. Your house is the shed. Your house is the shed where the rain leaks through, where it's cold, where there's roaches and everything. Meanwhile, Master lives in the big house that you built. You built the big house, and Master lives in there, and you're outside in the cold, man, living in a rotten wooded shed with just sheets on the floor and hay. You lying on hay and sheets on the floor. That's how you was living, man. Meanwhile, this man lived in the big house. After you built the big house, you shall build a house and not dwell therein. We built up England, and we can barely dwell in England, man. We built up England, and they're sending us home on the Windrush. Right. Meanwhile, we built up this house, man, and we don't get to live in this house. That's what happens with us, man. Read on.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof.
You would plant a vineyard, a vineyard, and not gather the grapes thereof. What's a vineyard for? You gather your grapes and you make wine, man. You would be making all this wine in the wine factory, all of them, the wine press. You ain't getting no wine to drink. This man's drinking wine and throwing parties, man. This man's drinking wine, throwing parties, playing drinking games. And what are you doing? Walking outside, looking in the trash for chicken foot, man. For cow tongue, for liver. That's what you was doing. Meanwhile, this man's living in the house that you built, drinking the wine that you made, and you're walking around depressed, trying to get a meal for your children, cow tongue, chicken foot. Meanwhile, this man's in the big house that you built, drinking the wine of the grapes that you gathered. Go ahead.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away.
And listen, man, it says, so I can read that part again.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
Your cattle was slain before your eyes, man. Especially if you look at the Native Americans, man, they slaughtered all of their buffaloes. There's a place I believe it's called Buffalo Hill, man. You can see the picture. Tons of the buffaloes. Their cattle was slain before their eyes. Our oppressor went to where there was North America and killed all their cattle, man. Read on.
And thou shalt not eat thereof.
And they didn't get to eat of it. This man slaughtered everything, man. And they didn't get to benefit of nothing. Go ahead.
And thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them.
Read on.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail in longing for them all the day long.
And their eyes shall look and fail in longing for them for all the days, man. Listen, man. This is a time when there's no wanted posters. This is a time when there's no Instagram, when there's no Facebook. Listen, man. Some of you women cry when your child goes to nursery for the day. You drop your child off at nursery and you cry, like, oh, my baby. Listen, man. Imagine this is a time where your baby's gone forever, man.
Right.
You ain't collecting them at 3 p.m. You can't see them again. They're on a plantation, man. They're on another plantation, and the slave master will say, work hard, and then you can see them again. Say, work hard, and you can see them again. And you work, and you die and never see them again, man. Even if you watch Roots, when some of their children came back to the plantation, the parents was already dead by the time they came back, man. When you look at it, most of the Kunta Kinte's daughter, when she got back to the plantation to see Kunta, he was already dead, man. And then on his gravestone, it said Toby. She scratched it off and wrote Kunta on there. Watch Roots, man. Don't watch the new one. The new one's garbage. Watch the old one from, like, I believe it came out in 1966.
Right.
Watch it, man. It will give you an idea of what was going on at the time. It will give you an idea and not just an overview that obviously slavery was a real life thing, man. Like, when we read it, we go over it brief, but just imagine there's 24 hours in a day and there's things going on all day while you're on the plantation. None of it's easy for you. You're working. Read on.
The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
So now, the fruit of all your labors, all the work you do, another nation's going to benefit from it, man.
Right.
Look at all the drinks that Esau benefits from. Ray and Nephews is a white man benefiting off Jamaican rum. That KA drink is a Jamaican drink, which is white people is benefiting from. Because all the labors, another nation shall eat up, man. You make all the records. The man who runs the company makes all the money. NWA was selling albums. Jerry Heller makes all the money. Listen, man. Another nation eats up all the labor, all the work that you do. Another nation eats it all up, man. And you don't get none of the benefits. You don't reap no benefits whatsoever. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be only oppressed.
And what?
and thou shalt be only oppressed.
And this is why we're so angry, man, because our whole life, we are only oppressed. We oppressed our whole life, man. All we receive is oppressed. All we are is oppressed. Why? Because of everything that we just read. The life that we live in is disgusting, man.
Right.
Of course we're gonna be oppressed. Of course we're gonna have anxiety. Of course we're gonna have depression. Why? Because we're being ruled over by a beast and a horrible man. What verse you at? All right, then we're gonna pick up from verse 33 next week. So like, not next week. Next week Wednesday is the Day of Atonement. So the week after that, we're gonna pick up on Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 33. So for now, we're gonna do the security announcements because that brings us to the end of the class. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the I.S.U.P.K security and Salak. Yep. Clap it up for the officer. Good class. Right. This is the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18 and verse 21. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in Hebrew, Maya Sha'ara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher, priest fund. Free will offering for the priest, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations. The Day of Atonement, the 15th of September. Next Wednesday. Check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a tutor in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. Did that say Admadiam? Ahmadiyam Shabbat. Ahmadiyam. Barak. Yahbashim Yashai Brakafar. Yajamata. Class dismissed.
All right, Shalom Israel will be here tomorrow. The Captain for us is 7:50 till 9. All right, Shalom.